Who am I? Where am I? Something is wrong. What is this place? What is happening? Mario? Mom? Dad? Why did you let us die, Mario? It was all your fault. We were coming to visit you because you never visited us when you went away. No, that isn't true. I loved you both. I was busy. I didn't have the time. Tell them, Mario. Show them the dream priests. I don't understand. Then we live our demise. No! Show me, Mario. Show me your mind. I have to get out of here. You will not escape. Where are the dream priests? Show me, or perish slowly. Help me! 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 I am in your mind, and you will show me. I can feel them, and I have my ways. It was your fault, No!
Welcome to the quest for the Green Bull, the rise of Ralu Azath. What a week we just had. We now have 2 division champions with the number 1 overall seed also locked up. But 1 division still remains undecided and 3 wild cards remain up in the air with 1 game separating 4 teams and 2 weeks to go. The other first round bye is also still up for grabs, and a new weekly regular season scoring record is definitely a possibility. So there's a lot going on here, and what a way to get to this moment. This one was one of those crazy high scoring weeks with 1 team still falling short despite reaching the 110s. But one of the teams that scored over 100 was in our as Green Acres traveled to take on risky business at the Sulphur Mines of Barbara in a huge game in the EO division. Green Acres had to have this one, and even without Leonard Fournette, there were plenty of fireworks as they spoiled Risky Business's chance to clinch a playoff berth with a 119.2 to 86.1 win. Balance was what Green Acres got here, with Joe Burrow doing his job with 270 passing yards, 32 rushing yards, and a score, and Dalton Schultz had a big game out of the tight end position with 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen finally made an impact after injury and had a score, and Stephon Diggs continued his strong season with 77 yards and a touchdown. Dante Foreman finished with 113 yards, and the Panthers' defense dominated with 10 points allowed, 3 sacks, and 2 fumble recoveries. Najee Harris also scored, but he left with an abdominal injury. Samjay Perine also got the start with Joe Mixon out for Risky Business. Perine finished with 93 yards and a score. Risky Business had another Mahomes to Kelsey connection for a touchdown, and X-Factor Kenneth Walker stepped up with 2 scores. But the big problem here was that the Patriots defense ended up with no points, and Kenyon Drake had one of his hate the Drake games. Green Acres also limited the advantage in a big way against Risky Business, outscoring him in the quarterback, tight end, and defense positions 49.1 to 32.1. Green Acres is now 6-6 and is only on the outside looking in based on the tiebreaker at 7th place. Risky Business falls to 7-5 and remains in 4th place overall, now just 1 game up on Green Acres without the tiebreaker. Of course, the loss by Risky Business clinched the EO division for the Elite Mother Tuckers. The Mother Tuckers wanted to put an exclamation point on it all. The hosts picked up their 11th win in a row with a 138.82 to 72.86 win over the Siamese Dreamcats at the volcanic plateaus of Vulcan to continue to shatter record books, and are now tied in league history with the most wins in the regular season. Look at that. They have a chance to make another record. What a season so far. The point total also puts the Elite Mother Tuckers in prime position to break the all-time regular season scoring record set by the multiple scoregasms. The Mother Tuckers need 189.23 points combined in the final 2 games, an average of just 94.62 points per game. Josh Jacobs, who is clearly the draft pick of the year candidate and a Green Bowl MVP candidate, went off for 229 yards rushing, 74 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns, collecting a 50-plus yard TD bonus and the coveted 200-plus rushing yard 5-point bonus. Jalen Hurts also stepped up with 153 passing yards, 157 rushing yards, and 2 scores, and Eckler added 80 yards and a touchdown. Lockett was solid as well with 68 yards and a touchdown. But Hurts and Jacobs were the keys here, with both combining for 82.12 points. On the Dreamcats side, Jackson had a couple of touchdowns to finally have a decent performance, and Wilson also scored. The rest of the team disappointed with 4 touchdowns left on the bench in a rough coaching week. The Elite Mother Tuckers are now 11-1 overall and also have the number 1 overall seed clinched. All they have left to play for in the regular season is breaking league records and not to get any injuries before their semifinal match in Week 16. The Siamese Dreamcats fall to 6-6 and are in 6th place overall in the league ahead of Green Acres for the final playoff spot by tiebreaker, with the 2 teams playing again in Week 14. Moving on to the Europa Division, my Dark Ridge Dreamers are celebrating again, baby! A 3rd division title in a row, 4th division title overall in my league career, knocking off Uncle Justy 114.58 to 89.76 on the road as the Water Volcanoes of Colbeck. My Dreamers finally had Kyler Murray back, and he stepped up with 191 passing yards, 56 rushing yards, and 3 total touchdowns. Justin Jefferson bounced back as well from a week ago with 139 yards and a score, and Brian Robinson Jr. also stepped up with 125 total yards and a touchdown. Nick Chubb added 132 total yards and an overtime touchdown, which was a little surprising, and Waddle and Patterson combined for 151 yards. Uncle Justy had a touchdown by Tagovailoa, but he and the Dolphins did too well in the first half, and Tagovailoa didn't need to play in the final 2 quarters, which hurt. Trade pickup DJ Moore did have a big game with 103 yards and a touchdown, and Rachaad White added 109 yards. The Chiefs' defense were a nice waiver pickup with 10 points allowed, 3 sacks, and 2 interceptions. But the absence of Chase and Kamara's underwhelming performance with 2 lost fumbles did Uncle Justy in. My Dark Ridge Dreamers are now 8-4 overall and are currently 2nd overall in the league, still fighting for a first-round bye. Uncle Justy falls to 4-8 and needs to win out and get a lot of help to make the playoffs. In the other Europa matchup, Loki Lebowski Thor hosted the clash at Demon Head at the Salt Mines of Thorgard in a game with survival implications. Lebowski Thor was the one showing off his Kate skills with a 75.86 to 63.28 win to stay alive in the playoff race. Herbert was key here. He had 274 passing yards, 38 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. Cooper added 94 yards, and the kicker Pinheiro had 3 field goals and a few extra points. Injuries hurt the clash at Demon Head. Garoppolo had just 1 touchdown. McCaffrey was held to 49 yards, and ETN exited very early with a foot injury and had just 3 yards before he left. Lamb did finish with 117 yards, and Tucker and the Bills' defense combined for 20 points, but it was a very rough week. Lebowski Thor moves to 5-7 and is just 1 game back of the 3 teams in the race for one of the final 2 wild cards, though tiebreakers are not on his side. The clash at Demon Head falls to 4-8 and needs to win out and get a lot of help to make the playoffs. Not mathematically eliminated yet, though. On to Ganymede, where the defending champion, remember the Titans, travel to take on the Stellar Bitches at the Temple of Tsitak. And the Stellar Bitches are still winless at home, falling to 0-6 at the Temple of Tsitak. Just the nightmares are piling up. Remember the Titans not only stays in the playoff race, but keeps his slim hopes for a division title alive in a 105.52 to 67.04 win. Geno Smith had 328 passing yards and a few scores, and Barkley and trade pickup Pittman also added touchdowns. Another trade pickup, T. Higgins, finished with 114 yards and a touchdown, and A.J. Brown had a touchdown as well. Stevenson had 112 yards, and the Jets defense allowed just 10 points and collected 2 sacks and an interception. The Stellar Bitches did have 2 touchdowns by Prescott and another touchdown by Hawkinson. Henry added 117 yards, but leaving in a 0 with Chase Edmonds on IR and struggling at wide receiver hurt in a big way. Remember the Titans is now 6-6 and is 2 games back in Ganymede with 2 to play and is currently 5th overall in the league based on tiebreaker. The Stellar Bitches fell to 2-10 overall. A 127.22 to 113.24 win. Josh Allen had 253 passing yards, 78 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. James Conner added 140 yards and a touchdown. Jamal Williams also scored, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, collected 129 yards and a score. Taylor clinched the win with 98 yards and a touchdown on Monday night. Also, the Dolphins' defense went off for 15 points allowed, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, and a touchdown. But the 49ers on the bench also would have dropped 20 points, so pretty good defense there. Miles Sanders had 160 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead AR's ayahuasca plant, and Brady also scored twice. Aaron Jones finished with 99 yards and a score, and Hopkins chipped in with 87 yards and a touchdown. The Commanders' defense did all right with 13 points allowed, a sack, and an interception. The multiple scoregasms are now 8-4 and are 2 games up in Ganymede. AR's ayahuasca plant falls to 5-7 and is now currently 8th in the league. While AR's ayahuasca plant was eliminated in the division race, they still have a shot for a wild card. And so we have reached the final 2 weeks of the regular season. 2 teams are officially clinched into the playoffs with division titles. The multiple scoregasms are 1 win away from joining the elite Mother Tuckers and my Dark Ridge Dreamers. 2 games separate 6 teams in the race for the 3 wild cards, and the final first round bye is still very much in play. What a finish we're heading to, everyone. And that's the content for the show. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow to hear some important information with one of our flex game of the weeks looking to be a pretty big one as well. Until next time, salut. And check out the updated power rankings before you go.